Hello. Today we are going live with Brittany Gooden of The Good End. I can't wait for you guys to hear her story, how she got where she is now, and also some really awesome tips and tricks for us at the end. So let's do this. Let's see if my internet will work. Brittany, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. I want to see if I can put my AirPods in quick. I've been having some
Okay.
AirPod issues on my meetings today.
Oh,
Let's
I
see
know.
if this.
Mine just broke, so I'm sorry.
Oh, that's so sad. Okay, hold
Pausing.
on. No, that's okay. Um, some background noise. This is casual. No one cares. It's not a big deal. If you hear some dogs. Okay,
Uh-oh. You keep going
let's
in and
do
out.
this. Thank you so much for joining me. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, no, yes, I can.
Awesome. This is so great. So where are you in the world right now?
So I'm in Brooklyn. I'm moving out of my apartment right now, so I'm like trying to hide every corner.
Your
But
corn
yeah,
looks good.
yeah, I live in Brooklyn. Where are you?
I'm in Los Angeles, but now
Oh,
I'm in the valley. So
okay.
I don't like saying it, but I actually really like living in the valley. So if you know anything about LA, it's just like a lot hotter here. You can park places and you're not sitting in traffic to get to like the corner store down the road.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm actually that's where I'm thinking of making my way to eventually.
Stop, no way. So what's your plan right now? You're moving out of your apartment into a new spot in Brooklyn?
No, I'm moving out of Brooklyn. I've been here for what, like 13 years?
Yeah.
And so, or maybe even longer than that. No, I think 13. So I'm
Okay.
moving out of Brooklyn and then I'm going upstate. I'm shooting a
hmm
documentary and then
hmm
I'm heading west eventually.
Come to LA. Yes. Everybody, literally, I don't know about you, but during this whole, I'm just so sick of talking about this year in general, but this year, I think maybe like our entire close friend group has moved out, tons and tons of like outside like acquaintances, and then you see everybody on Instagram that you used to kind of follow in LA, they're all gone. And my husband
Yep.
and I are like, so anybody want to be a friend? All of
Me.
our friends
Oh,
are
and
gone.
lipstick on my teeth.
Bye.
Uh-oh. Sorry.
Me?
I-
Me or you?
No, I did.
I just
Yeah,
had chia
no,
seed oatmeal, so like there's probably a chia seed somewhere in here.
you're so great. You're making me so comfortable. I was so nervous.
I know. I
Um,
always get those butterflies. It's like before a shoot. I'm like, I know what I'm doing. I'm an expert. This is easy, but oh my God, I have to go pee.
Exactly. No, that's exactly all day long. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm excited but nervous. Yeah, no, but I was worried about making friends in LA. So I'm happy that I know you now.
Yeah. And like, there's so many, even though it's COVID, there's so many networking and groups. And like, I'm the creepy person at a coffee shop, like, hey, you look cool. Want to hang? Because honestly,
Oh, I
I'm a
love
social
that.
person. Yeah,
Yeah.
we gotta keep that side of our lives going before it gets totally shut down again. Okay, let's dive in though. And I want to put you on the spot too at the end of like, hey, you're an expert in all of these different areas. So obviously talking through some tools and apps that you love,
Okay.
but then also maybe some high level tips and tricks. You just went live with who was it yesterday? 2 days ago. Let's see. You had like top three, top 4 points of social
Oh,
media
Hannah.
management. Hannah,
Yes.
yes.
Hannah from
Hannah
Bustle. She's so
from
great.
Bustle. Yeah. So
Yeah.
like you could even regurgitate that info for us. But main question that I love asking because it's different for everybody. But what did you always want to be when you grew up?
What did you say? Say it one more time.
When you were growing up, what did you want to be? Like, it could be the cliche firefighter cheerleader as like a 3, 4 year old, or maybe that middle school dream, that high school dream, but that like kind of one thing that sticks out in your mind.
Yeah. I always wanted to be a scientist.
Stop. That's the best answer I've gotten yet.
It was so, I think it's funny. I pursued it. I wasn't a great scientist.
No way.
However, I will say that all those skills like translated into everything that I do today, like in terms of just like, so yeah, I actually like when I was younger, I was like, I want to be a scientist. I was never good at science, so I don't really understand why I was so like, I was trying to think. I was like, did I love a cartoon? Like, what made me want to be a scientist? Also, like, I'm from way upstate New York. I don't even know any scientists.
What a scientist.
I was just like, I want to be a scientist.
Like, okay, so I want to dive in. So a scientist, is that there's so many areas of science, and this is like, I was terrible in math and science on all of my tests, but I was incredible at like English and other stuff. So science, like, what type of science were you thinking about? This is so cool.
Well, I always knew that I wanted to be in the lab.
Okay.
And so
working with
when I went, yeah, well, at least when I was younger. And then I went to school and I started studying science. And I was like, oh, well, maybe I'll do pre-med. Again, like, totally different route than where I am today. This is such a good question, by the way.
Right? Thank you. Thank you for validating me.
Yeah, no, it's such a great question. Yeah, so I always thought I would be in the lab. So then I went and studied pre-med and wasn't great at that. I worked in the hospital. And now I realize, like, the kind of like the underlying theme is I figured out I wanted to help people. Because I knew that even when I was at Drexel, I was like, oh, you know, like, I worked in, I forget what I worked on the oncology ward, and I lost our first patient. I was like, I can't do this. Like, I couldn't even go back I was so sad. They sent me home. I wouldn't stop crying. And so, yeah, I was just like, okay, this isn't my path. But I know that I still want to help people. I just don't know what that looks like. And yeah,
that is so cool. So then when did that change for you? Because obviously, like, did it have something to do with, you know, when it came time to find the real job that we're all told that we have to find? Is that when you switched over to what you did for a while, like before you launched Gooden?
No, I mean, so I worked full time when I was in school. So
same.
I worked a full-time job, which was like insane. All my friends were having like the best time of their lives. And I was just like, I'm really not good at this. So I felt so lost for like a very long time. So then I went into real estate. I started traveling overseas. And when I was just like, when I moved to New York, I was like, that was when, I think it was in, I don't know, it was a rough time then. I'm trying to think, was it 15 years ago, whatever. So anyways, moved here. My cousin was just like, I was like, I'm struggling. And he's like, well, he's like, you can come PA on the weekends for this thing. Because I always need tons of PAs, production assistants for this thing. You know, like, you're going to have to hustle, but like, you know, whatever. Just for some lunch money. Literally,
yes,
that's what
totally. Yeah.
And so that, after that job, he was like, you're pretty good at this. We'll have you back next weekend. I was like, oh, okay, cool. I love this. Because it was so cool. I was like, I've never imagined being on set. I'm from upstate New York. That's not even something that I ever thought. And now I realize I've always been creative, right? So this, like, it totally makes sense that this ended up being my path. So that's how I ended up getting into like the video world. And
you did that for how long and where?
So I got into the game older than what especially here in New York City, right? Because you have like all the big schools that are film related, NYU and all those things. And so I think I was about to turn 30 or something like that. But I had management experience because I was already a manager in the real estate world, but I wasn't, you know, I thought I was going to be selling like $1 million houses or, you know, condos and things. And I was like hustling rentals and stuff. I was an incredible marketer, which it's now, it's
I
like,
believe
it's all
it.
full circle. You know what I mean? It's like, you just never know. Like, I was just like, okay, I'm good at this. Sorry. It's so bright in my apartment. I have so many.
No, it's totally fine. You look good.
Oh, thank you. So I did that and then I got moved up really quickly. Yeah. Because I had, like, again, like, just incredible mentors. I was so curious. I got into the game later. So I was just like basically asking my cousin, okay, this is great, but PAing is really hard work. How do I become that person? And so I wasn't on his team very long because he actually moved, like, he went to a different show. So my boss was like, oh, you know, you should start coming into the office. You did a great job on set, you know, and then literally like in 6 months, I became a manager, which now I think about it, that was in reality TV. Like,
Yeah.
the best place to learn, but also like the most insane thing I've ever done in my
But
life.
so much fun. I'm
It's so
such
much
a
fun.
junkie. Like, I don't want you to know the trashy TV. Obviously, I don't have time because I have a son now and like 75 jobs, but oh, I love good reality TV. I want to brag on you a little. So, I'm reading your bio right now. 8 years
Okay.
experience producing video for premier clients in TV, media, and advertising, including
Mhm.
projects for Netflix, Discover, Spike, Bustle, Vox, and Under Armour. I mean,
Yes.
come on, you are way too modest. I would just
Thank
like
you.
anytime I talk to someone, I'd be like, I did this for Netflix, and like word vomit all of my accolades. Although I probably wouldn't, but if I were you, I would. But that's incredible. So here's the transition and the pivoting point. So you'd always wanted to be a scientist, and then you got into this to be a PA, and then suddenly you're manager, producer, and doing all these crazy things, moving really fast. And then
Yeah.
what was that like switch moment? Maybe you had one, maybe you didn't, when you decided to move from a lucrative career
Hmm.
to then launch a passion project and turn it into the same type of lucrative career, but you're working for yourself with a team of awesome people. Like, when did that switch, and is it still new? And then I also want to dive in after that, question number 2, what's coming, like what's on the pipeline, and then what's the next big project?
Yeah. So, I mean, so really, it was a couple years ago. I was like, oh, I really want to start this mentorship program because I just have had so many people that put so much love into me, which is
Yep.
why I feel like I was able to grasp things really quickly and then also move up really quickly. I mean, I work my ass off though. Like,
Oh,
don't get it
totally.
twisted,
Yeah.
But hi, Christina. But then yeah, so she's great too. Why Women
I love
Project.
this. I love seeing people jump in. So
Oh,
fun.
yeah, she's great. So yeah, so I was I was at Bustle,
Yeah.
and I started this project, my documentary project,
Mm-hmm.
and I went back to school because I was prior to that I was on this team working for what was that project for Spike and Discovery. I was working on two
Okay.
projects at once. And the director I was working with, like the team, I had just never seen people with that level of talent in terms
Mm.
of just like continually working on their craft. So it was like they were like, the things that I was doing because I was like, oh, I'm the rookie here. They were
Mm-hmm.
also still reading and talking like this discussions. I was so motivated.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, I want to translate this somehow. I wasn't really sure. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna hit up all my friends that I know that I've met over the years, all the hair and makeup artists. Maybe we can do a mentorship program. So I sent out like this preliminary email. Everyone was like, absolutely. And then I was like, oh my goodness, I got like 65 yeses. This is crazy. I don't really know what I'm gonna do with this. I know I want to do something. So I threw a brunch instead. I was like, listen, I know that I said the thing. I'm gonna figure it out. I don't know what it is yet. And so literally, I just kept trying things, and then and so I was like, okay, I put that kind of on hold for a bit, and I went back into agency world. And
Yeah.
when I was at agency world, one of the clients, I shouldn't say their name, but one of the clients is like a major brand.
Mm-hmm.
They really wanted us to shoot with the phone, and which was insane, right? Like,
Yeah.
why would we shoot with the phone? We're shooting celebrities. We're doing like, it was for social,
Yes.
but I was so intrigued by that. So I was like, I
Yeah.
became obsessed.
Yeah.
Kind of just like, where are we going? What is happening that I don't know about? Like, I'm used to shooting with like huge cameras, large crews. They're asking for something totally different. The agency, we were all trying to figure it out, but it was technically out of like the scope of the job, so we didn't end up doing it. So I started learning about like all the lenses that would go on the phone, all the different ways to shoot on the phone, because I was also shooting a documentary upstate, and I was like, is this something that I could do?
Yeah.
The next client that I went to, everyone, it was for a women's co-working space.
Yeah.
And so it was the first time that they were ever doing video. I've never went into a situation where I was the only video person, like the only person that really with that like experience. And so they're like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, they had all these great ideas, and I was just like, okay, this is great, but there's not really any strategy behind this.
Yeah.
And so I started reverse engineering. I was like, okay, I want to make sure that I give them what they want, like what they were about. It's important, but there's no strategy.
Yeah.
So I started working really closely with one of the marketing people and like their social team, and just kind of picking apart, asking a lot of questions. After I was done with that project, inside the different connections I met, like there were people who would ask me to do videos, And again, I'd be like, well, what is the strategy?
Yeah.
You know, like I'll make you a dope video, but I just don't feel right making you this with no strategy behind it.
Yeah.
And out of that came this. So it was like, okay, this is exactly what I have been leading up to in terms of like the networking connections, even that like brunch, getting those people's feedback in terms of like kind of being the still really producing, because I was connecting people, right? Like the people that I worked with prior, and then also these individuals that were asking for these videos. I was like, okay, well, you actually need to talk to this person, and then you'll be ready to do a video. Then I was like, okay, people that don't have $100 million, not $100 million. I never worked on that.
I'm so
but like,
exaggerative with my numbers too. I'm like thousands and thousands when it's like really 4.
That's not true.
My husband calls me out on it all the time. Yeah, no, but dive in. You're going good. I like this.
So yes, I was just like, okay, but how do I make it affordable for where they are, and really honestly like kind of empower them to make their own decisions, because they know where they want to go. But I want them to see like the power of video. Absolutely, I want to make those videos for them, but then also how do we incorporate strategy? So actually, Christina, the Why Women Project, is the person I first started speaking out about, like actually shaping out this idea for Gooden. So yeah, sorry, that's like the super long way.
No, that's so good. So to summarize, Gooden is a technology software, correct? Yeah. That helps simplify social media strategy for businesses, 0 to whatever, the biggest, smallest, doesn't matter. But you're not necessarily focused on women, but you work with a lot of women. It's just that the main premise is that it's powered by community, right? So
yeah.
So with that, you created this, and this is to help people with their strategy. And the software is in the works. And then you've got like 7 other projects that you're doing. So what, like, what did I see? So you have this, then you're going to do like a community something. What's coming up down the pipeline for you?
Well, when I first started out, I had to get real about how I was able to move up. Or how I was able to learn things and be even exposed to these different ideas. And I was like, that's always been through mentors. That's always been through community. And so at first I was building out the software. COVID hit. I was like, I'm not really doing, because especially like the people that I'm really, like our niche is outside of these major areas. Lipstick, sorry.
I can't see anything. It looks good. I'm just focused on my mom freckles. Like, oh my gosh. Moving on. I need to have a dermatologist on. Give me some tips and tricks.
You are so good. You're so good.
Thanks. I like thinking about it like we went and grabbed coffee, and I'm missing that part of my life. So this is just our way to grab coffee, and other people can join in.
I love that. Yeah. So at first I was just like, yeah, all software, strategy. I was like, that's just not honest. That's not how I got there. Yeah. You know, I have life coaches. I have a community. I have people that were like, is this done? Especially when I started my business. Yeah. And, you know, like I'm a storyteller. You know, that's my background. Or like, you know, a lot of it, like I did a lot of line producing, all those type of things. Like building a software was something so different. Yeah. And so again, went back to that same community, started working with all these different marketing people, which is common for me anyways, because producing is so cross-functional. Yes. Depending on where you are. So yeah, so I was just like, okay, I know now more than ever, number one, like I'm wanting real feedback for what people need, because what I think people need for this, even though I've experienced with these small businesses, I want to understand like what are the real sticking points. And what if we went deeper and not just like help these companies that can actually afford, you know, to have all these different positions. Like, what does it look like for the solopreneur? What does it look like to actually help me, you know? Yeah. And just so even breaking it down on that level. So yeah, so then out of that came community. So our first kind of like our pilot program was Media Club, which I'm so proud of. It's essentially, it's like a small business circle and a book club. Yeah. And so it's like, we have like our own Slack group and people can talk in there. We can, we make sure that we're promoting each other's projects. Like it's all, and that's what the software, like what I was like, at first I was like, it's this software. And then I was like, no, it's all about like these strategic partnerships. And then having something that really supports that in like a streamlined way that's also really challenging you to like to think about strategy solutions to scale.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's Gooden.
That's incredible. So obviously people are going to stalk you. I'm going to put all of your details in the IGTV caption so they can find everything you're doing and follow along. But if you can give me a few top 3, 5 apps, resources, networking things you're loving, maybe it's a workday tip and trick or a social media tip or trick, just something that people can walk away with and they, can be better, do better.
Yeah. Yeah, I always I keep seeing Christina's name, and it's so funny she's here, because really she's the founder of Why Women.
Okay,
and her background is a content strategist.
Cool.
And so I had all these ideas of this could, and she would people that will actually challenge you in terms of poking at your idea and be like, no, you have something really great here, but keep going, because there were so many times too that I was like, okay, I'm ready to go build a software now. And people would be like, oh, you probably are, but what about this? What about this? What about this? So actually getting in a community of people that are building their businesses. I really enjoy the entrepreneurial community.
Yeah.
Of course, people that are in the trenches with you. And I take a lot of classes. YouTube is probably I don't miss a day without YouTube.
No way. Classes on everything, like social media, marketing, how to make
everything.
frittatas, anything. Okay, cool.
Everything. And then I have mentor sessions in my life coach. I feel like this, building anything is already hard, and to be brave is so cool, but it's mindset. It's, you know what I mean? And so just also having that support system of people challenging the way that I've always thought things were, possibly.
So how did you find your life coach or mentor or business
TV.
coach? Say it again.
Through TV.
Through TV.
Yeah. So essentially, the project I was working on the Joe Berlinger project, and he was doing our 2 projects, but then he was also getting ready to go film the Tony Robbins documentary.
Oof.
And which we were
big
all
names you're throwing out.
Would you say?
I said some big names you're throwing out. I'm getting a little intimidated.
No. So it was and so we all kind of were just oh yeah, cool, you're gonna go do that. And I think we had preconceived notions of what we thought the Tony Robbins community was, if I'm really honest. And Joe's very successful. And he was just I get it. Yeah. And I was like, really? And he's like, life coaches, it makes sense. So from there, I was a production manager on that show. And so I just I signed up for a free consultation, and I got matched up with Carrie, who's my life coach. She's been my life coach for 3 years. And I was starting my own documentary, with no funding. So it was recommended to me to you think it's been hard working in this industry. Now you're doing it with no money. You're doing a really intense project. You're going to need some mental support. So it's been Carrie. Yeah.
So on this, I'm making a plug. 1, I'm looking for a mentor that has worked with people that do what I do. 2, if you are a mentor or a life coach or somebody that's smart, pretty much whatever, you send me a comment or a DM. I want to host you on this live. I think it's so beneficial, Brittany, what you're talking about, having somebody that's been there, done that, or has had clients that have been there, done that they can advise you, this person did this and it didn't work, so we're going to have you try this, and just pivot. I'm just seeing the value more and more, and even as you're talking, it's just confirming that. So that is incredible.
I keeps it so real. And that's the thing. It's she's like, oh, okay. And so one of the questions she introduced to me really early on is is this truth? Or is this something that, it's just been kind of tradition for you? And that's not the way she says it. She says it way more elegantly. But it's essentially I was just whoa. And so every single thing, when, any of those those fear beliefs, even calling it fear, she really helped me kind of being well, it's really just your breath. So what if you start taking deeper breaths, you slow it down, then you're not actually afraid, you're actually excited. So this whole time you've actually been excited. like even this conversation, I had to think about that. I was like, this isn't fear. You've been wanting to have more of these opportunities connecting with people like this. Cause I stalked you, you know, I stalked you. And
Oh,
so,
totally. I love stalking everyone. This is good.
yeah. So yeah, I
Tell
think
me what to do better. We'll go offline and you can give me a consultation.
no, you're great.
No, but honestly, this is huge. Having these conversations, I also have so many ideas for more content that I can put out to help founders, help entrepreneurs, help brand owners. And I also want them to utilize what you're building for them. So like, do you have a timeline? Obviously, COVID, software, everything is crazy. What is your goal to launch so that we can be looking out for that?
Yeah. So our goal to launch is spring, but
yep.
I probably should shoot for fall. But it's spring. It's spring.
Cool.
Which
I'm going to push you on that.
Which I think we'll be able to
get
do
it done.
COVID, you know?
Yeah.
Because prior to this, I was still taking a lot of production jobs to bootstrap. Now I'm just, this is my thing. So yeah. Yeah.
That is amazing. Brittany, this was incredible. I have a meeting in 4 minutes. So I need to get back to my day job. This is awesome. I'm going to post this on IGTV. I'm going to transcript it and put it on my website, YouTube, Vimeo, all the places. Stalk us, guys, and follow Brittany. This has been so much fun. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for this opportunity. It was great to meet you.
Yeah, great to meet you too. Okay, we'll connect. See you.
Bye.
Bye.